Hey guys, welcome to the first chemistry lab. So in this lab, you are going to be measuring the density of a cube that you have in your kit. You will find it in the little Ziploc bag. And you also should practice lab safety. Now this lab really presents no risks, but I like to encourage a safety culture in chemistry lab. So even though that we're doing pretty safe labs at home, I'd like you all to wear your goggles for every single one. So as I tell students in class too, the chemistry only works if you dress the part. So you'll feel more like a scientist doing science if you are dressing the part. Okay, so in this experiment, it's all about density, calculating density, and density is mass over volume. So the first thing you're going to need to do is take the mass of your cube, and you would do that using this digital scale, which I thought maxed out at 200 grams, but apparently it maxes out at 50 grams. So it's not good enough to get the mass of your cube, which is in most cases more than 50 grams. So I included pictures in the lab of scales that depict the mass of each of your cubes. So you'll still have to read the mass off of a scale, just in a picture and not the actual scale. So you won't need to use this one just yet. But you should get yourself some triple A batteries for it, because when you do need to use it, you need those batteries. Okay, so that's how you get the mass, and the other part of density is volume. So you're going to need to measure the volume of this cube, and you'll do that in two different ways. So one way is using a ruler to measure the sides and calculate the volume using length times height times width. Make sure when you take those measurements that you are reading the ruler to the correct number of sig figs. And there are practice questions in the lab for you to practice reading things to the correct number of significant figures. And then the second way that you'll get the volume is through water displacement. And you can use either the 50 ml beaker, which is the smallest beaker in your kit. This one is actually a 100 ml beaker, but the 50 ml beaker is the best one. Or the 250 milliliter graduated cylinder, which are the tall, skinny ones. And so what you're going to do is you're going to add 40 to 60 milliliters of water. And it doesn't matter if you use tap water or distilled water, but you will want to get yourself some distilled water for future labs. Might as well use that. It doesn't matter what the exact volume is, just you need to be able to read it. So you'll read the initial volume, and then you will add the cube, carefully not to splash water out of the beaker or the graduated cylinder, and then you will take a reading of the new volume. So whatever the initial volume is, it's not important as long as it covers the cube, and as long as you take an initial and a final recording of the volume before you add the cube and after you add the cube. And that's two different ways to get the volume. So you're going to be calculating density, and then you're also going to be looking at accuracy and precision is another thing that this lab talks about. So you're going to analyze the accuracy of your measurements, how close were you to the truth, and also the precision. So you're actually going to share data with classmates in order to see how precise each of your measurements were, how tight they were, basically. How similar they were. And you'll calculate your percent error and your standard deviation in your lab calculations. So, pretty easy peasy. If you have questions, let me know.